This podcast was created on the lands of the Ngunnawal people, the Wurundjeri people, and Ngāti Pawa. We acknowledge the contributions of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Maori people to making rugby league the greatest game of all.
You're listening to NRL Hellmouth, the podcast where we open up a portal to the rugby league realm to see what horrors and delights we can unearth. And it's officially State of Origin season. The men's teams have been picked, the commemorative beer cans are in the shops, and the traditional barbed wire-topped barrier has already been erected along the length of the Tweed. So it's a great big Queenslanders and cattle dogs hello to my co-hosts, Daniel and James. How are you guys?
Oh, yes, it's the only time of year when Twin Towns becomes a war zone. But yes, very excited. Beanies and bucket hats to both of you. James, how are things over your side of the Tasman?
Well, they're pretty good, yeah. I think I'm from New South Wales.
Oh, okay.
Originally.
Technically.
So if you live in Queensland right now, stay out of my way. Stay out of my way, stay out of my face. Shout out to you. Shout out to you.
Coming up in the show today, we're talking club songs, rugby league anagrams, and as usual, the absolute bloody state of the game today. So let's open it up and raise some hell.
There's the kickoff. Let the party begin.
I'd undeservedly apologise to everyone for my actions.
I didn't intend to disrespect anybody, and I definitely didn't do it on the car.
Well, I've been watching the Seagulls, and not one of them is eating. This is a horror movie. Rugby league. What else can this grand final provide?
We get stacked live on television.
Stop it, it's starting to hurt.
Magic round? More like tragic round.
More like abracadabra.
I mean, look, it started off well enough. The Women's State of Origin on Thursday night, the Magic Round preview, if you like, was a pretty good game. Very good game, actually. Complete
fantastic.
With a stirring Queensland comeback and a great last-minute try, which was unfortunately disallowed when it turned out Jasmine Peters had her foot on the sideline. But then Magic Round itself had exactly one sensible rugby league game, the Cowboys beating the Roosters 18-12. Apart from that, all other games had to give up a 20 trigger and an average winning margin of nearly 25 points. Ugh. I mean, there were so many points being handed out last weekend that I thought I'd tune into the Eurovision Song Contest by mistake. Main difference being that Eurovision still provides a modicum of entertainment for viewers. Were you guys as bored by the Magic Round matches as I was?
I was. It was frustrating because every time you saw content that was coming out from the precinct, it was fantastic. Like, you know, the fans were in great moods, they're in great numbers, and it felt like the culture of rugby league turned up in droves, but the game just didn't do its job, unfortunately.
They did play the games.
They did.
So that's good. It was the process of the round occurred.
Yeah, a Magic Round was had, technically speaking.
The outcome of the process was potentially, if you were a person going for one of the teams that won soundly and you enjoy that team smashing another team, which a lot of people do, then it would have been good. But potentially outside of that relatively narrow field, then no.
You do make a very good point there, James, and that is that, you know, half the people went away from that weekend probably having quite a terrific time. But it's just the problem is that once you start removing the importance of the jeopardy of the sport, then we sort of fall into this weird sense where it's, you know, if you're just banking on the fact that half the people are going to go away, you know, feeling terrific, and half the people are going to go away feeling completely, you know, disassociated from whatever event it was that they just witnessed, then after a while, I think that sort of puts us into that existential, you know,
you're right,
sense of losing the concept of the game. The idea, I think, is that when you have a good sport, a good game, and good scoring devices and all that kind of stuff in a nice balance, you hope that members of both sides can go away from the event feeling like they've had a good experience, or at least a worthwhile experience. But this idea that, you know, we just go over the game and, you know, sometimes your team will come out and flog the opposition by 20 points and sometimes they won't, is it's sort of a little bit unfulfilling. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't think it does.
Pause for thought. Doesn't matter if it makes sense or not, Dan. It's a podcast. We're just creating audio content that people will sit and listen to while they're doing something else.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I was...
what do you think?
I was on Reddit. Well, I was on Reddit last night, and I was just scrolling one of the comments about the last round, and there were just 3 comments in a row. One was, I keep giving up and bailing halfway because there's just other stuff worth doing. It's a bummer because I've been invested for 30 years. There's another one. I'm an avid fan. I watched every game, participated in a punters club, tipping in the fantasy side. I cannot finish a game for the life of me this year. I'm averaging the first 30 minutes and switching off. Most teams have done the job by then. Another one. I'm absolutely tuning into less footy this year. Partly maybe because my team is so poor. Well, as an Eels fan, that's true. But I'm also not bothering to watch neutral games knowing it's so manufactured. I don't want to waste 2 hours of my life watching a blowout. Mm-hmm. When I could be reading up on Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. Now, he didn't say that in the message, but that is, of course, what we are advocating that people do with the spare time that they would be gaining. I also noticed a lot of people saying, I am turning off, and that's how we can potentially make a change because, the gurus of NRL will actually notice that occurring when they get the data, not the cleansed data that they give us and they put the annual report, the actual real bad data that they get when a game suddenly goes from being interesting to boring and then you stop watching it because you're going to go mow the lawn, bake some brownies, read a book to your children.
Yeah. And, of course, the rubber hits the road when League is trying to flog its broadcast rights for the upcoming period and the product is waning. It seems like they're trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the fans in terms of the way the game's going, but it's very difficult to tell someone that's trying to invest, well, you're asking to invest $4 billion into the next era of the sport, that people aren't sort of getting a bit turned off.
Yeah. Well,
I love our rugby league comedy podcast. So funny. Guys, man, may the laughs continue. What's up next, Simon?
Well, we start this podcast every week basically like this, complaining about the shitification of the game this year. But the fact is we're 3 middle-aged soft boys who'd probably cry if we ever had to take a hit up.
Yes. Do more than cry.
We are starting to see a few more stirrings of discontent among the players. Last week, Storm players Cam Munster and Jerome Hughes shared a clip from their 167 podcast that outlined their thoughts on the game this year. And it's pretty direct. Have a listen to this.
I think the rules are perfect 2 years ago or a year ago. I don't think you need to keep, what's not broken, don't fix it, So that's my personal opinion.
I'm seeing stuff and I go, why is that a 6 again? And then I see something, why is that not a... So I get too technical about it in my head. So for me, as a player, personally, I can't really watch rugby. I've never been a massive watcher anyway, but now it's just I make it too technical in my head and I start picking things out that I shouldn't be, so I can't really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's obviously a product that the NRL want to do, and I'm probably with Hughesy. I'll probably have the footy on all the time and used to love watching it, but now it's just in the background. I just sit there. I don't even watch it. Just turn it on. I just don't want to see finals this year go to... blow out the games and it's just not tight, but it's a product they want to do. They want to play touch footy, so yeah, all the best to them.
They're not holding anything back this time. I think early in the season, especially when they were sort of on their losing streak, it was not great optics for members of the team on a slide to be sort of laying into the change in the rules. But yeah, they're definitely not pulling any punches this time around.
Yeah, and this clip was fairly well ignored by the PVL fart sniffers of the mainstream rugby league media, but I feel like it is kind of a big deal when you have 2 of the game's best players actively choosing to call out the fact that the game has got worse. Like, this wasn't in response to a journo's question. They actively chose to say these things on their podcast and then chop them up and post them on their Instagram with the caption, "Are the new rules damaging the game?" in all caps, no less.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've crossed a line here. And based on the comments section, general consensus is that yes, the new rules very much are damaging the game.
Or are they?
Well, I don't know if Money had a visit from some heavy-set goons in the days after he made that post, but by last Saturday he had seemed to soften his stance quite a bit. After the Storms went over the Eels, Munster said, quote, "Obviously the 6 agains are here to stay, so we need to adapt. Also, I think we didn't do that for for that 5 or 6 week period. I think we were kicking cans and being victims, and I was probably being a victim too. At the end of the day, that's the product the NRL wants, and that's just something we've got to adapt to, and we have. We bit hard on the mouthguard and worked hard as a group, and that's all you can do. Now, I love the expression biting hard on the mouthguard, but apart from that, the quote made me quite sad. You shouldn't blame the victim, Money, especially when the victim is you. Don't roll over and adapt when there's an existential threat being forced upon the game that you love. You have to rise up and fight.
Especially within the same week. Yeah.
Maybe he's just seeding the idea for others to take on. He's the Karl Marx, not the Lenin, if you like, of this revolution.
Yeah, Marx was a massive larrikin as well, so I think, it probably fits the bill.
Him and Engels got up to all sorts of japes together, I believe.
Yeah. This is sort of where the NRL's ability to orchestrate the narrative really comes to play, and it seems even among the flagship programs, 360 and the like, the voice to the sort of dissatisfaction was completely muted. It was only really on the articles of league pundits that you would really see that much talk about, this sort of deteriorating state of the game and the blowouts. Yeah. They'll talk to it in a very superficial sense, but not really to a point of targeting the systemic issues at play.
Like any authoritarian regime, you hear the commentator sometimes speaking in code. So I remember, I think it was on Sunday at some point, Vossi mentioned the total aggregate score of games so far. As in he sort of said something like, total scores have been over 40 points so far. And he sort of does it in almost a positive way.
Yeah.
Yes.
But because we know that Vossi is, let's say, one of the good ones, although he is spruiking things in one way, they are merely shining a light on the issue.
Yeah.
And we need to make the links, and we need to advocate for action and justice. And while we do that, and while there seems to be a lot of groundswell for fans that are unhappy, for every unhappy fan there seems to be two rubes placing bets and buying beer and walking down Caxton Street. So who knows? Who knows what side of history we're on, but I certainly feel old.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Origin is officiated next week. We all know that kind of the rules are slightly different for Origin in a normal year. There's usually less penalties and things that would normally see a sin bin and not. So it'll be interesting to see if the word comes down from on high that the ref shouldn't blow too many 6-agains and, will we get a bit more wrestle and grind?
It's the face of the brand, Origin,
that's right.
And they don't want to tinker with that.
Exactly.
Traditionally, it's always the game where you get away with a little bit more. Yes, you can cross the line, as we know with the famous Walsh concussion of Game 1 a couple of years ago. But yes, they definitely lift the bar a little bit just so they can kind of bring back the biff, that little bit, or
jumper pulling at least.
Yeah.
So I reckon if we get like a 48-6 score at Origin, or even 36-34, that will tell us that they genuinely think everything is fine, and that they're so high on their own supply that yes, they actually think this is still a good sport.
Yes,
but if it's officiated to the point that we get a proper game, well then maybe they're listening to the gathering voices amongst the fan base and the players.
So one of our the champion of Australia, champion of Australia, Peter V'landys, he's like President Trump.
Now, while Peter V'landys' greasy fingerprints are everywhere you look in 2026, we haven't actually heard that much from the great man directly for a couple of months. He seems to have been pretty happy sitting back and sending his gaslighter-in-chief, Andrew Abdo, out to tell us everything is fine.
Lighting his farts on fire with pieces of burning cash.
It smells extra bad with the polymers these days. It doesn't work like the paper stuff, as he keeps on reminding us.
But Pete was out and about all weekend at Magic Round and popping up every show and podcast he could find. Now, we talked about PVL's strange obsession with the AFL during our Vegas episode much earlier this year. It seems like he spent the entire time ever since working on some piss-funny new material for his ongoing comedy roast of Australia's other great football code. Just have a listen to PVL talking about keeping Magic Round in Queensland for the foreseeable future.
It's important to us to also promote the sport to kids, to play sport and to play rugby league and get that next generation of participation happening here in Queensland and beat that other sport called FLA or something like that. I mean, they've copied our round. I think they've got sticks and stones. They're gathering them somewhere. So, but this is the original. This is the original in Australia, is Magic Round. Anything else is just a copy and an imitation.
Did you hear what he said?
Who is writing this guy's material?
He swapped the letters around. Yeah. Hilarious.
Well, he doubled down on that, Simon, by implying that their stadia for their gather round are made from only rudimentary elements such as sticks and stones, which is a huge shot across the bow.
That really is.
And then he teased the name of gather round.
You know what I love about this, you hear it around a lot, this FLA. It's so well rehearsed, but the beauty of it is this, he does a little sort of stammer beforehand to sort of pretend being kind of, just off the top of his head, like he's quite aloof about it. But
can I ask you two, you're both funny guys, is FLA actually a joke in and of itself, or is it just that he's got the acronym the wrong way around?
Oh, not as far as I know.
Does FLA doesn't stand for anything?
That's the joke. I think his gag is, no one has even heard of this second-tier sport. We don't even know what it's called. No, I Googled it. It is the abbreviation for a couple of rebel groups in North Africa. But,
right. So is that the joke?
That's the funniest.
That's very clever.
The funniest
right.
reference I could find.
Right. So the joke is that he doesn't know. The joke is that it's so unknown a brand that he would not, nobody knows what it is actually called. It would be impossible for the normal person to know it. That is the joke. It was very funny. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I never had that issue with the AFL.
No.
Yeah.
It's fairly well known. Now, Peter did call out the AFL stealing Magic Round from the NRL, but fun fact, the NRL did copy Magic Round from the English Super League Magic Weekend, which first took place in 2007.
That is a fun fact.
It is a fun fact, isn't it? But anyway, after that, Pete obviously realised he was onto a good thing with this gag because he popped up on ABC Radio a couple of days later to try it out with a new audience. Have a listen to this.
I mean, I can't believe how good the women were on Thursday night. It was record ratings again. They beat that other sport called FLA.
Seriously, the Women's Origin had a TV audience of over 1 million. And what did he call it? The ALF?
No, FLA. What are they?
FLA?
Some sport out of Victoria. I don't know what it is.
But
he's done it again! He did it again.
Dreadful.
You know when you sometimes buy a coffee at a cafe and there's an older person there who doesn't have much to do and they kind of berate the bartenders and other customers with their hilarity. That's what it reminded me of them. Not someone at the head of what is meant to be a global sport.
Yeah.
And what I think is actually more of a travel facilitation group, like Thomas Cook Travel or something like that.
Right.
Or Kentucky Tours. I think that's where rugby league is moving to as another sustainable income stream.
Yeah.
More so than the six sets on the field.
Yes.
Per team.
I think you're right.
that's secondary to that.
You're absolutely right.
I was just going to say, just before we do move to what the AFL has to say, I do have another clip from a different demographic. So have a listen to this one. PBL is so keen to diss the AFL and the city that it comes from in Melbourne that he completely forgets that one of the NRL teams actually comes from that same city. So have a listen to this one. Oh, and I should make a warning to anyone who finds slippery men making gross jokes repulsive. Just probably switch off for the next 1 minute because this one's hard to handle.
It's been done very successfully by the NFL, so it's nothing new. And they've sort of been a benchmark for us, watching how they've grown the NFL through having internet. They're coming to, what's that place down south? I think it's called.
I'm not 100% sure.
Melbourne. That's Melbourne.
Melbourne?
That's it. Yeah,
we can Google that one.
Yeah, we can Google that one. So there's an NFL match there,
right?
And I think the LA Rams are coming against the 49ers.
I believe so. Yes, I think so. Not sure where though.
Yeah, they need another 20 to get to where they want to be, the 49ers. So anyway, they
they're working on that.
Yeah, they're working on that. They're not quite there.
Oh, yeah, so just going to point out, 49 plus 20 equals 69, sex move, terrific fun.
Yeah, it is an interesting move to diss the whole city of Melbourne, though, when there is a fairly successful rugby league team there. So I assume they still see it as a growth mark. And I think has one of the highest memberships, don't you know, the Storm, out of all the teams.
I think they're at least in the top few.
Aren't they having an Origin match there this year as well?
Yes, that's also true.
And has contributed to, I think, 2 record-breaking years in grand final viewership as well. Obviously, because the Storm were in there, but people watch it down in Melbourne when their team is playing. So, I mean, if there was independent rugby league media that was not in a human centipede arrangement with the governing body of the sport, then there might be some critique of this behaviour.
Yeah.
But there won't
us.
be.
We're outside we're behind the centipede, picking through what comes
the
out
stool,
the
and analysing it.
But again, you've got, I mean, part of that centipede is these, just these slippery yes men. They're just laughing at everything he says, and there's nothing more repulsive than Peter V'landys in front of you making a sexy joke, and they just lap it up.
True.
They're just like,
yeah.
Oh, good one, Peter.
Now, how did the AFL rebut this? Did they call him LVP or something?
Well, we've got
did they get in there?
We do try and run a balanced podcast here, so of course we're going to give airtime to the AFL's response to this savage roast. Have a listen to what they have been saying in response to PVL's comment.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah.
Not a peep from the AFL.
Yeah.
Either they've been stunned into silence or they really genuinely don't care about what this clown is saying.
Maybe their Google News alerts don't pick up FLA, so then their media team wouldn't get any of it.
They need to have a chat to their media monitors.
Hey, that was 2 back-to-back pretty depressing segments. So I can't wait. I can't wait for the next one, which I have a feeling is going to be bright and breezy. Who's up with that?
I love the Bears. I do. I love being a big bear. Big cuddly one, though. Not the big bear, the big cuddly one. There's a place for rugby league, there's a place for the Perth Bears.
So the NRL has already announced the Las Vegas games for February 2027. We've got the Eels playing the Titans and the Storm playing the Tigers. And judging by the state of the NRL website today, James, they've already taken up your idea of running a travel agent because it's wall-to-wall Vegas hype and accommodation packages.
Yeah, the full package.
Oh, boy.
LV27.
Yes, calling it LV27 in an attempt at cool branding. Now, I've just Googled LV27, and sadly for the NRL, that name is already taken for a few products. There's a counterfeit Louis Vuitton shoulder bag selling for $25.50 with that name.
I'll take it.
Seems about right, given that the game at the moment is a low-quality dupe of what it used to be. LV27 is also the product code for a beautiful red tartan flannel nightshirt from an Irish company called Lee Valley. It's knee-length with long sleeves, and there's actually a photo on their website of a bloke wearing the nightshirt along with one of those floppy long nightcaps with a pom-pom at the end. So he's well and truly ready to nod off into a stupor as he watches Eels v Titans at Allianz Stadium in February.
Well, unless things change between now and the end of the season, you've got currently the teams in 13th, 15th, 16th, and the team who's in 10th spot but on their way rapidly down. Maybe this is the recession that the NRL had to have.
I don't know about that, Dan, because if we divorce what's happening on the field from the game, if you divorce the sport from the game, shall we say?
Sure.
Then what is occurring on the field doesn't actually matter. Because what Vegas LV27 will have is the promotion of niche beer brands, a further promotion of pies.
Oh, yes.
Somebody making quite a bit of money from the travel. Content being made from fans. of their experiences flying and walking around Las Vegas and players dancing.
Yes.
Then
OnlyFans collabs.
OnlyFans collabs. Wall-to-wall media coverage about how exciting Las Vegas is by people who have been paid to go and visit Las Vegas and say how exciting it is. No independent media to question anything. And then some lovely tie-in of betting, which is basically what Magic Round was from a business viewpoint. Very, very successful. Sold out as many tickets as they wanted. Lots of people, lots of content. You don't even have to talk about the games because there's always something else to talk about, which is seemingly what Abdo was doing when he was there, which was to not talk about anything on field and to simply pre-promote this Las Vegas announcement. And here we are. I can't tell you how depressed I was when this came through this morning. When you guys put this in the chat, it honestly, I don't even know why. It just completely ruined my day. There were two interesting things about it. The first one was that the article on 9.com.au's got a photo of Harry Grant and another guy from the Eels. I've put it on the board. They look very similar to each other if you want to look at that. Harry Grant and the other guy on the right side of the picture, they kind of look like a real person and an AI twin of that person. So I found that entertaining. The other thing was that I learnt that the Titans are in their 20th year next year, which just made me feel old because to me, they don't feel like they've done anything in the 10 years that they've existed, so much so that I didn't realise that they haven't done anything in the 20 years that they've existed. And that's what I got out of it. Maybe, though, I just need to go to Vegas and experience it and divorce my experience of rugby league from, again, what is happening on the field.
Maybe we all need to do that. Maybe that's our problem and why we're also down on the game is that we haven't been Vegas pilled yet. Whereas everybody who's talking up the game, Abdo and Volandis and the Hello Sport podcast guys, they've all been to Vegas, I think.
I was just about to say, it really is like a bit of a, we're on some sort of hefty medication that is just trying to make us, forget that what we're seeing in front of us is really happening and try to convince us that, everything is pretty fantastic. LV27.
The other thing that was theoretically good for me, but also depressed me, was that the Wiggles potentially, Anthony the Blue Wheel said he's going to be there with his son, which is lovely. But if the Wheels did perform in Vegas, I suppose that would be joyful for me. No word on if Tree of Wisdom will be there.
Surely they will. I mean, I'm reminded at the time, it's as much about promoting Australia as promoting the game of rugby league. So you'd have to think it's one of our more successful exports. You'd get the Wiggles up there on...
they'd be primed for it.
On the strip.
And I think we've got a call coming in.
Well, I didn't think we were even a call-in podcast.
We are. Hello.
Guys, can't believe what I'm hearing.
Sorry, who's this?
Craig.
Did you say Craig?
Yeah, like how Americans say Craig. It's Craig.
Right. All right, Craig. So you have a comment?
Game's never been better. You got to get behind it, boys. Bigger, stronger, better.
That's good. So that's good to get a different view. Are you enjoying it this season?
Points galore. Tries. More tries. Speed of the game. What's not to like?
Craig, what about the constant blowout scorelines?
Yeah.
And the lack of comebacks?
Yeah. Agree to disagree.
And you're happy about how the way the game's been run?
Look, these gentlemen took a ball of clay between thumb and forefinger and have created an Adonis.
An Adonis? I wouldn't say that's a particularly popular opinion, Craig.
Guys, are we watching the same 2026 Telstra Premiership season? You guys got to get behind it.
All right. So who's your team?
Panthers.
Okay. Thank you, Craig.
Love my league.
Thanks for calling in.
Got to get behind
Thank
it, boy.
you. Well, that's nice. Thanks for removing him from the call, though, Dan. I did get a little bit agitated at the end. He was droning on a little bit and a little bit smug about it.
Was he an agitator, do you think? I think he is definitely representing a sentiment that's out there. Perhaps it's among the fans that are, not quite as affected as those that are bearing the brunt of the big landslide losses. But, I could be wrong. Maybe there are hellmates at nrlhellmouth.com. Please let us know if you do think things are fine and that we're wasting about 90% of this program every week on something that doesn't exist.
Something that came up last week that I probably need to address at this point, and it's a good segue after hearing from Craig, was the Give Up at 20 initiative that listeners will be aware of, where when your team is 20 points behind at any point during the game, statistically it's impossible to come back from, at which point you simply turn the game off in protest of the systemic failures of the NRL Commission. And not necessarily your team or the players, and then you go do something else with your time. And last week we suggested at Magic Round that people indeed gather around Andrew Abdo at some point. At that point, surround him and then begin to build a prison around him, inclusive of a Faraday cage, so that his terrible ideas and smug face is not available to offend the sensibilities of rugby league diehards. It was relatively successful, I would say. That's right. And I thought I was pretty happy about it. But then on Monday, I received an email from an organisation, Amnesty International, they are called, and they just asked for a report on inmate conditions at the Abdo prison.
Fair enough, yes.
Amnesty International, where were you asking for a report on the state of the game these last 10 weeks? Huh? Silence.
That's right. So here's the report. He's fine. Thank you.
Well, no stone unturned. So appreciate your thoroughness in that report. James.
Any ideas what people can do this week? I think I didn't do the maths last week, but every game bar one was a give up at 20. So at least, 5 to 8 years potentially of productivity that was therefore gained at that time that people could have been doing?
Well, it's autumn, which, means we can get into a new palette of colours. There are, autumnal hues out there. I would actually recommend, if you're interested in oil painting or watercolour painting or something like that, just spend a little bit of time looking out the window and maybe dabbing away at a canvas or a heavy GSM board and just see what you can conjure. You may end up seeing...
You could paint a picture of a game and the scoreline is 16-18
That's right.
in the 75th minute.
And a child says, is that a grandstand on the hill? You say, no, it's the prison. It's the prison where Andrew and Peter are held. Oh, they sound like fun little boys. And you say, they were naughty.
What absolute madness. Well, it might be madness, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope the viewer has as well.
That's because you're mad.
What?
You're mad.
That's a lovely way to go to a break.
Speaking of a good time, the weekend just gone saw the Eurovision Song Contest that Simon mentioned briefly in our opening.
Bangaranga, yes, it did.
Or bangaranga, as we like to say in Australia. The competition also was, somewhat under the pump at head office for a few controversial calls. And yes, it was Bangaranga of Bulgaria that won yet another blowout on Magic Round weekend, which was either good or bad for you, depending on where you stand on Zionism. But we will push on. Something I really love about Eurovision is looking out for the classic hallmarks of a top-shelf performance. We're talking, the costume reveals and key changes, traditional instruments, and the occasional elaborate prop that pops up. But it got me thinking about the classic hallmarks of an NRL song. Well, firstly, I think it's important to, differentiate between the two types of team songs. We have our sort of club official release, which don't tend to be quite as spirited or, banger-worthy.
We are lovely men from a suburb near you, and we'll fight and fight and pass the ball backwards, play the ball under legs, score a try. We are the boys from team whatever, like that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's spot on. And then over the other side, you've got your song that you sing as a victory song in the sheds after the game. James,
I'm going to ram a beer up my ass and win, and we're bloody good blokes and we just get them in and we're going to kill them and here's my cock, yada, 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 woo, 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 like that.
Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And so what are the other classic hallmarks of a Sheds performance apart from all of the thematics that James featured there in his lyrics?
I think you've got to be thumping an esky.
Yeah.
Yes, a percussionist.
With a boot usually.
Sets the tempo, that's
right.
I think
Scott Morrison, when he was Prime Minister, didn't he do himself an injury by getting invited backstage and he was banging the esky and he had to sprain his wrist or something?
It's true.
Yeah. I don't think I dreamt that, yeah.
It shows just how hard this game is.
Yeah,
it shows you've got to be prepared to enter into the inner sanctum.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's not for the meek. It's not for the mild. Yeah.
Anything else you tend to see in these performances?
Usually
no
see
shirts.
Liquid being sprayed around.
Yes,
either from
very right,
a
Simon. The exchange of
beer
fluids,
can or Gatorade or water. Yeah, it gets messy.
Yeah, it's always getting messy towards the end. The debutante will always get a bit of a bath in the middle of the room. I think you also tend to see the wild man. There's like one person that gets a bit carried away. They'll get a bit crazy. Quite often you'll catch one of them like maybe kind of playing with their penis a little bit, just in that sort of so carried away with the spirit and the fun.
Yeah,
and
it's not sexual. It's
non-sexual. No, it's like a little boy that just is so excited about being free and expressing themselves with their friends that it involves their penis. Then if you look through the crowd, you've sort of got there's normally a player, the Iceman, that's like strapped up with a massive clump of ice somewhere on their body. You'll have the recent transfer that's struggling to keep up with the lyrics. There'll probably be a bemused child, which is being held by one of the players that's like wondering what's that guy doing with his penis. And then the classic final mark, the codetta, is to sign off with something like a "you" or something like that. Which is all exciting marks of a great track.
We've ripped your spine off your head. You.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once again, James, you probably need to get down to a few teams that are, definitely lacking in the spirited song department at the moment.
I was thinking, I don't know who I was watching this week, but it's basically, it's just the end of your work week, albeit a successful one. It'd be funny if at a Friday, if you've finished your emails off and you've done your 3 little tasks you were meant to do in the week and no one's yelled at you for the day, that you could get together with your work colleagues, take your shirts off and spray water around and bang an esky and sing a lewd song. Be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would change.
Might try and introduce that.
Yeah. But moving on, you've got also your official team release, which tends to be a bit of a genre snapshot of the original era of each team. You've got, quite often in the early days, lots of marching drums and brass bands reappropriating well-known songs for the club cover versions. You kind of Click Go the Shears with the Eels song, and Waltzing Matilda was used for the Manly song. Later generation teams incorporated the 80s rock of the Raiders and the Knights, and then the 90s rock that we saw with the Cowboys and the Storm. And then later on came a team that I wanted to talk about with a bit of focus today, and that was the Gold Coast Titans. And while club songs I don't think really play a central role in a team's success in the NRL, I do have concerns that they may contribute to a team's failure. Because the team I wanted to look at, the Titans, they established in 2007, as James said, coming up for their 20-year anniversary very soon. And the Titans had a chance to breathe some fresh air into the team song arena. And
hey, Dan, are you about to play it?
Yeah.
Before you do, can I just predict what it is?
Yeah.
Because I've never heard it. Sitting back on the beach, rolling down on something. I can see the skyline ahead. Titans win, scoring tries. something, yeah. So that's my prediction.
You're so close.
Okay.
But so far off.
Okay.
We are the Gold Coast Titans and together we belong. As one we fight for victory, courageous, proud and strong. We're champions, triumphant, we're still ruling game.
Fuck that.
Yeah. I know hindsight is 2020, but it's hard not to see that this song has played as the soundtrack of an era of underperformance that continues to this very day. Sort of got the spirit of a kids' amusement park jingle.
Titans fight and don't give up. We've got skill, play hard and fair.
Yeah, so, lyrics like, we are the Gold Coast Titans, and together we belong. We proudly wear the gold and blue. The premiership's our aim. It's like, no. And also, we've got
haven't got very close to that.
No, we've got skill, play hard and fair. At finals time, we will be there.
No.
Not so much.
So what they seem to do was take something, a jaunty little thing from the 70s and then update it. Like the actual rhyming pattern and lyrics seem very, very dated. And then they've put a mid-2000s advertising jingle approach to it.
It's such a bad fusion. I mean, maybe it was a product. It would be really hard to sort of
a product of time potentially. 2007 is probably one of the best years of music ever. That's known. You can Google it. 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
they could have done like a Strokes inspired thing.
Oh,
anything.
It is really true.
Or there was something with hip hop.
They absolutely blew it, and that led to almost coming up to decades of underperformance. However, in the last year, the team, attempting to turn over a new leaf, did launch a new official track, which was a collab with Gold Coast's own Cody Simpson, who I wasn't familiar with, but is described on the team's website as a global music sensation. But anyway, the song is called Fly, and it's quite modern, quite uplifting track that we can't play for legal reasons. But they've made a nice music video, and it has, to date, over 7.3 thousand views. But back to the dressing rooms and the team's victory song. And at the start of last year, at the same time as Cody Simpson's new track dropped, the team also launched a new victory song. And as you can guess, it doesn't really get a run all that often.
New song, new team. Titans in the house, that's us. Our game too strong for us. GC on the back, that's us. You, me, us.
Look, in summary, it makes for pretty uncomfortable listening. It's titled "You, Me, Us." It was written by the players. It's jams big meaty chunks of syllables about Gold Coast identity and brotherhood into these little bursts. So it's very hard for the players to actually spit it out.
I thought in the first line, I thought they were saying that sucks. Titans in the house, that sucks.
When this was launched in 2025, there's a bunch of videos where you can see the team reading off phones and then reading the next win. They had sheets that were printed out, and as you heard at the end there, they sort of take off into their own spin-off subverses as well, where it's a bit more kind of hootin' and a hollerin'.
Great for banging an esky, though, I'd say.
Yes, that's right.
Nothing about the murder of their enemies, though. That's probably the only thing that would want to add to it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, James, because this year they've gone back to the original song, which was featured in the early victories from the Titans. And if you have a listen here, they do have a little cheeky line, which comes at the expense of their latest victim.
This is the Raiders' victory song. Sorry, but that is the Canberra Raiders victory song with different lyrics. It's exactly the same tune. You can compete with the call out to kicking the team's ass that they just have and the ooh-ah at the end.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, this is illuminating. They are a team in free fall, as far as I can see. Musically, I mean. And I think they need to get that sorted before they can expect to see any change in fortunes on the field. But there you go. There's a brief history of music of the Titans.
Fascinating.
And I'm sorry to say, Titans de la Gold Coast, nul point. It's just a little callback to the Eurovision concept I mentioned at the very top of this segment. But if you do have any other team song suggestions or team requests for future weeks that we might be able to do a little bit of an exploration on, please drop us a line at hellmates@nrlhellmouth.com.
The foul play far outweighs the dickhead.
Now, Peter V'landys's wonderful wordplay earlier of changing the AFL to FLA got me thinking about rugby league anagrams. Anagram, of course, is where you rearrange letters in a word or a name to create other words. For example, NRL Hellmouth is an anagram of lol then, Mr. Ho.
What?
So I've been using all the time I've gained by giving up at 20 to find anagrams of some rugby league personalities' names, and it's striking how often they're relevant to the person at hand.
Oh, wow.
Let's start with a couple related to your club, the Melbourne Storm. Did you know that Cameron Munster is an anagram of Storm Run Menace?
Ooh. That, all right. Now, when you first pitched this concept to me, Simon, I was like, oh, okay. But now I'm coming around.
Meanwhile, Craig Bellamy is all by grimace, which I think says a lot about that famous crooked mouth expression you see him wearing in the box for the full 80 minutes. For my team, Ricky Stewart is a rusty trick, which sounds about right for the Raiders' red zone attack. Phil Gould comes out as dog uphill, which he certainly got the dogs.
I was hoping
you'd
do him. That's an awesome one. Have you got Michael Ennis?
I do, actually.
Okay.
Michael, I had a crack with Mick Ennis. It turns out is an anagram of mini necks, which does not seem accurate.
So, yeah, but that's what you'd call someone with a big neck, mini neck.
Well, then I tried with his full name, Michael Ennis, and got same chin line.
Ooh.
Same chin line as what? I'm not sure, but I'm guessing a large Besser block something. Now, the anagram for Peter V'landys is Dry Events Pal, which sounds about right after last weekend.
These are really tickling me. This is the best thing we've done on this show.
And, of course, he's accompanied by his mate Andrew Abdo, who is, of course, a bad downer.
I feel like getting that tattoo across my back.
I feel like you could launch a religion on the back of this kind of anagram pseudoscience. I mean, people believe in astrology.
Yeah.
So these are divining monikers.
Well, I'll get to a premonition in a minute, but I also did Magic Round, which turns out is an anagram of coma during, which seems about right. Now, an interesting one, I anagrammed Ashley Klein and got eyelash kink. We're not into kink shaming on this podcast. You do what you want.
Whatever
but if Klein,
floats your boat, Ashley.
If Klein really is wearing long, sexy eyelashes up there in the bunker, then maybe that's why he can't seem to see what's happening in front of him a lot of the time. Now, here's the premonitions related to Origin. Well, Billy Slater is an anagram of tribal yells, which is obviously a reference to the Queenslander chant. Yeah. And interestingly, Laurie Daly comes out as a ill year due. So take that as my Origin prediction.
Oh, wow, yes.
So that's your rugby league anagrams. If you come up with any more in your give up at 20 time, please send them in. Hellmates@nrlhellmouth.com.
In the air! In the air! In the air! Goal!
We will take it from anagrams into some other interesting facts. With Did You Know? But this one's a bit of a different twist this week. This is the Andrew Abdo edition. Did you know? The game is better than ever. Balance has returned, and with it, the artistry of ball-carrying players, saving us from robotic, defence-favoured game. Did you know?
Well, yeah, definitely defence is out of favour.
I've heard it. I've heard that.
Did you know? The perception of fatigue is an illusion.
Well, I mean, the perception of everything's an illusion if you want to take that route. We're all living in the Matrix, Andrew.
Did you know? Teams are now worse at defence. They let more attacking players get past them, and when those players score, the numbers on the scoreboard increase.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's always good.
And this is an important one. Did you know compliance has increased by almost 10%, which means less naughty boys, and the few that remain are less naughty? Yeah. Did you know no team has come back to win after trailing by 20 points for over a year now? Hang on a second. Sorry. That one shouldn't have been in there. Did you know we are seeing unbelievable comebacks and shifts in momentum?
Yeah. The momentum out my backside.
And that's all for Did You Know this week.
You missed the... I love that that segment, Dan. You missed one, which was that did you know team strategy is now changing, and between rounds 11 to 15, you will see tighter results on the field.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He's reset the advice. It's now between rounds 12 and 15.
This time for sure.
Yeah, we just... Magic Round was an aberration.
Right. I mean, with all of the best players out playing Origin, I mean, the game's just going to get better this week.
It's going to be fine, guys. It's going to be fine.
It's called This Week in Hell. It's called This Week in Hell. It's called This Week in Hell.
The calming sounds of the This Week in Hell theme song. So obviously the big news is Vegas, and we'll all be booking our flights and excitedly dreaming of our rugby league pilgrimage, as listed on the NRL website, to what is now known as the home of rugby league, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And that will be taking up a lot of our time and levels of excitement this week. Then we have some games of rugby league to have on in the background, which we'll go through in a moment. And then after that, we'll all be getting excited for Origin. Just on Origin, as we said last week, I think interest in that and advice and analysis on that particular jewel in the rugby league crown you could get in many other places that potentially is not our show. But however, Simon and Dan, if you've got anything to add for Origin, something that you're excited about for next Wednesday, I am looking forward to. I actually think it'll be a good game, and I think it'll be relatively close. I think they'll tweak things a little bit so that we get a bit more of a classic rugby league match. And I was very interested in the various choices made by the coaches in the selection of the teams, and I'm interested to see how they play out.
Yes, I'm interested in some of those rather odd choices and seeing if the result backs them up, or if the coaches are going to look like real idiots. One of them will, one of them won't.
Exactly right. Someone's got to be an idiot, and then they will be forever condemned for their terrible choices of, snubbing player X, Y, and Z. And then, of course, unpacking the personal stories that must have led to those omissions from the team lists. Which is often in day
point.
2 of the release of the team list is like, what's going on with Bill and Reece? There must be some sort of an issue they have personally, which forgets the fact that there are many, many players, all of them actually pretty good, that are lining up for those key position roles. And so it's very difficult to get it right. But as you say, Simon, someone will get it wrong. So we could look forward to that.
And then this weekend, starting off tonight on Thursday, we have got a reduced round, many teams on buys, but tonight, Raiders-Dolphins, it's a game.
Certainly is.
It's in Canberra. I suspect it will have a blowout score for one of those teams. Let's see which one. Who knows at this stage?
Do you think so? I think it could be. Like, Dolphins are in very good form. Raiders are at home and weren't in bad form prior to the bye. I think, you never know.
Oh, of course, yeah. The Raiders had the opportunity not to be in Brisbane last week. So, yeah, they will be fit and firing to go.
No, we're not fit. We've got less players in the second row than I think were in the audience at the Cats movie. Metaphor was a little stretch. Anyway, we've got an injury crisis, and then Hudson Young's playing for Origin. So
a deep cut to the year where potentially the rugby league scores were even worse than this year. I think 2021.
Yeah, right. Ethan Strange is in the extended squad. Does he miss the game as well?
He does. He'll be sitting on the bench while we desperately need him back at home on Thursday night.
Friday night, Bulldog Storm, both teams desperate to win. Good one to watch. Saturday, Warriors will probably smash the Dragons. Saturday, late tonight or later in the evening, Sea Eagles versus the Titans on paper and on form. An easy win for the Sea Eagles coming up, but the Titans are actually in the game for a little while last week, so we'll see if they can fulfill on the promise. And certainly now that we're all aware of their victory songs, we would love them to be spanking them out late Saturday night, and then Sunday on paper, at least match of the round, Cowboys 7th, Rabbitohs 5th, so 2 teams in the 8 up in Townsville. A few outs for both teams for various reasons.
Yes.
For origin and whatnot, and injury. Who knows? We might be surprised, guys, and it might be an entertaining game. We shall see.
On the note of surprises, I'm going to say the Dragons are going to beat the Wars this weekend.
Whoa.
And
tune in
and next week. I'm going to play this clip again or bury it forever if the form of the preceding 11 rounds of league are anything to go by. But I thought I'd just, do that to spice up the game a little bit.
Fantastic.
Because, I think shows that you see online, they're all about big takes.
Nice. That's great.
And you realise after a while that you just move on from them if you get them wrong.
Yeah.
So or you just say it every single week, the Dragons are going to win, and one day they will, and we'll put that online. Anyway, that's the week ahead of us, guys. Should be good.
Time to close up the hellmouth for another week, I'm afraid. Thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate your support, and we'd really appreciate it if you can share this episode with a friend, colleague, or family member, because, gosh, it's hard to break through the torrent of online slop and into new listeners' ears. But now, here's a treat for your own ears. It's the dulcet sounds of James's final thought.
Magic is actually all around us. Every element of life on this planet has resulted in magic of some sort, whether it be Leichhardt Oval, Go Media Stadium, Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, other stadiums I could list off the top of my head, GIO Stadium, the SCG that sometimes plays, sometimes hosts rugby league, North Sydney Oval, home of the North Sydney Bears, etc., etc. Allegiant Stadium, as an example. But the real magic is not that the stadiums exist, it's what you bring to them as an individual. And if you're watching rugby league this weekend, my hopes and prayers are with you that the game in front of you is a contest between two teams of 13 players on the field, and it never reaches a scoreline with a deficit of more than 20 points. Who knows if that is too much of a dream and too much of magic to expect. Are they that guy from Flight Centre, the captain guy with the hat, that used to advertise with them? Have a great week.
The option for those of us who don't live in a city with a team that's going is which one of the themed chartered flights are we going to take?
Yeah, that's right.
I reckon the Tigers. I would say Titans.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the Titans flight. I feel like I might be able to choose my seat on that one pretty easily. So.
Who would be the funnest people to be with? If the Tigers one's got the wiggles on it, then that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
the Storm flight, I just can't imagine the Storm fans
they're not.
As a Storm fan, I just find them pretty freaking weird.
Fan, yeah.
Like I can understand Bulldogs fans, right? Culturally, I understand it. But
hey, everyone,
Storm fan,
they screwed up this person's meal booking. You stuffed up. You stuffed up.
He was vegan. He was GF vegan.
It's lacto-ovo vegetarian, mate. Get it right.